Hi, good morning, and welcome to Paul's Property Podcast. Here once again. Now, today we were going to look at the letting side of the business with my wife, Kathy. Now, unfortunately, Kathy's very poorly today, so she does send her apologies and she's unable to make it. So you're stuck with me again, I'm afraid. So what we're going to do, it's a bit off the cuff, but it's always important to look at what is going on with the market because it's consistently changing every day, literally, together with mortgages, base rates, the real conundrum, I think it is a good word, of differences and changes. And I think it's important for the aspects of myself as an agent of experience, as I, without meaning to sound egotistical, to try and inform you of how I'm seeing the market change on a day-to-day basis and advice that I'd like to give buyers, people coming to market, which is really important at the moment, about pricing, values, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to start with, of course, which is on everybody's forefront at the moment, of course, with yesterday's the Bank of England base rate increase to 5.25%. Now, knowing that this was going to happen, I as soon as the news came through, I immediately phoned my good friend who's been with us a couple of times, Neil Evans at Blue Pepper Mortgages, and said, right, Neil, what effect is this going to have on the property market, on the mortgage market? Know full well what his answer would be. And interestingly enough, yesterday morning, a lot of lenders softened their rates further, knowing full well that the Bank of England was going to, put the base rate up. We've been over that before to counteract inflation, apparently, although we haven't had this month's inflation figures through. So a bit premature if you ask me, but that's down to them. There's a lot more to it than, I admit I'm aware of. But just to give you a quick example of a lender who basically between all purchases and fixed mortgage rates, they've reduced from 0.1% up to 0.39%, which almost dismisses is quite a strong word, but there we go, the 0.25% increase by the Bank of England. And those softenings on their rates go on top of the softenings and bringing their rates down that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. So yes, Bank of England has increased their base rates, but it's not affecting your lending at this moment in time. Yes, if you're on a variable, as we know, there is unfortunately a small percentage of people on variable rates, which will increase tracker rates. But, again, anybody on a variable that's becoming a bit unstuck, please speak to a broker, speak to Neil. We know his website, his address, and so on and so forth. Any questions, feel free to give me a call. But looking at the market as a whole, we've seen some very positive signs this week. We've had a lot of people out viewing properties, and this week alone, we've put in some very good sales. Now, the reason these sales are being put in comes back to a very basic necessity, is that the properties are coming to market at the right price. This is absolutely key. So it's important that our vendors out there, people that are looking to come to market, that are listening, are aware that the correction that has taken place in the market has corrected, and is, I hate to use the phrase, it's not negative because I'm not a negative person, so hopefully you won't know by now, is slightly softening further. We need to bear this into mind. Prices are still higher than they were 2 years ago, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, let me give you an example. We took a property on in Rochester Street, in a lovely little pocket of the city, Baker's Bottom, just north of Kemp Town. A nice 2-bed, 3-story. Now, we had the same house under offer in mid to late 2019 of £465,000. Now, we've agreed it this week at 510. So we're still higher than we were 2 to 3 years ago, even though prices have corrected. So that's still really, really good. And that's a very, very good price. The market was it came on. We did our first viewings last Saturday. The property's been on very briefly, but we came to market and asking at the correct price point, where fortunately I know the vendor, I've known the house, I've sold it on a number of occasions, so I know the property very well, I know the street very, very well, and with respect, the vendor wanted more money, as everybody does, but I said, no, if you want X amount, we're going to sit on the market for 3-4 months, you're then going to come back, Paul, we haven't sold, what's going on? And then of course it's all my fault, let's come to market at the right money and you will sell. We have another one in Coleman Street in Hanover that the house, it's a lovely house, tired, needs some updating, some damp, as has 80% of houses in the whole of Brighton and Hove, because of where we are, because of the construction, that good old bungalow construction. With respect, if you're not sure what bungalow is, give me a call, I'll explain it to you. Okay, a bungalow is a very old Victorian style of construction made up of horsehair, pebbles, dirt, other items which is not appropriate to speak about on air, so to speak. So very porous and very open to damp. Now, this house we had under offer a few months ago of 511,000. Survey was done and picked up a great deal of issues to do with damp and so on and so forth. So we looked at the price again with the vendor in a very realistic fashion. We got an offer at the right price. Again, at the right price, because it was priced coming back to market correctly. Sold. Fantastic. And it's not just that part of the market as well. We have a beautiful apartment on the seafront. And now this one is at £850,000. And I've got 2 people bidding over that property at the moment, again, because it's come to market at the right price. It's interesting because they had 3 agents in. I always come in at the right price point. My competitors, who will as ever remain nameless, came in at higher price points. Now, again, it's interesting to look at as the vendors, and I implore you to always look at the fact that, and what I say is, listen, at Paul Bott and Company, I'm an independent agent. I'm not a Brand Vaughan. I'm not a Fox and Sons. I'm not a Mission McKay. I'm not a multi-million-pound business that can afford to take properties on market and have them sit there for 3 months and have that old, I'm not going to say who said this to me once, but instruction, reduction. That was his policy. I don't work like that. I can't afford to have properties on the market for a long period of time. Can't do it. But at the same time, I will not just bring a property on the market to sell it quickly, to make a quick buck. Won't do it. My job is to get the best possible price for my vendor, to the best possible buyer. But I intend to do that in the quickest possible time. Not only for my vendor to relieve anxiety and stress, but also because I need to be paid. At the same time, I have a business to run. So there's no point in me bringing on, as other agents do, where they have almost a rotation basis of properties on at a high price, bring it down over 3 months, and the properties that they brought on 3 months ago, they're now selling because they brought them on, and so on and so forth, So when you're bringing around agents, you've got an independent, you've got your big corporates, people are pricing in different ways. With respect, don't fall for that carrot being dangled. The high amount and the low fee. It's look at a sensible figure. Everybody's got the access to do the same research as I do. Rightmove, Zoopla estimates. I won't always rely on those because they're too varied, but always worth having a look at. Go on to net house prices. See what your neighbours have sold for over the last couple of years, because that ties in directly, of course, with Land Registry, who admittedly is still a little bit behind at the moment due to the pandemic and the stamp duty holiday. Do a little bit of research, so when you get so-and-so coming in from one of the big corporates or, one of the big agencies, and they're saying A, B, C, and D, and still using that London office number, which is absolute nonsense. I can't illustrate that enough, if that's even the right word. It's absolute nonsense. We have Rightmove these days. People employ property finders. London office is a thing of the 90s, the noughties. No longer happens. Okay, agents still try and use it. Forget about it. If they're pulling that card, they're lying to you from the get-go. So just dismiss them straight away. Yeah, it's so important. Listen to the agent that's been in an area for a long time, not an agent that has where some offices have been closed down in certain areas. So they're putting agents from other parts of the city who don't know your area. Listen to what they've got to say. By all means, they might have done some research. They might be a good agent. We don't know. Yeah. But stick to your good local independent agent that knows this stuff, that's worked in an area. I know. I appreciate that, I'm in a way not necessarily trying to big myself up here because I've been here for 27 years. I know this area. And there's a lot of agents in Kent Town that do as well. But the point I'm desperately trying to get across is to move forward in today's market, a market that is a lot better than people would think, that the media would want you to believe in. Yeah, the market is okay, but you have to play the market correctly. You have to bring your property to the market at the right price point. Listen to what the market is saying. So if you release your property on the market, say on a Sunday, come to Tuesday and Wednesday, hopefully your agent should be coming back to you and saying, listen, we've got a couple of viewings, but not the response that I wanted. Listen to that. Yeah. Because then that's too much money. Yeah. If it's too much money, tweak it. Act immediately. Don't leave it months, because you're going to sit on the market. You're going to go stale, and people want to see what's moving quickly, what's selling. That's how they get their indication of what else they can sell for. And not only that, from an agent's point of view, it does us well, because people then believe that when I'm valuing, I actually know what I'm talking about, which I think is really important. So the overall picture of what I'm trying to say is the market is fine, but listen to what the market is saying to you. Listen to what your agent is saying to you, and what the feedback. If feedback is, it's too much money. It's too much money. It's too much money. I appreciate everybody thinks that they're cursing and feel these days, but people have a point. A property's worth what someone's willing to pay for it, as long as their lender agrees with them, and so on. So the market is fine as long as you're priced correctly. The property is being shown by the right person, i.e. a full-time member of staff. In our case, I do the viewings. My wife does the viewings. Owners of the company do the viewings. My senior member of staff does viewings. We don't have part-time members of staff. So every viewing is utilised in the way that it's the last possible viewing. It's everything is thrown into every single viewing. So this is how we deal with a market that might be slightly, I don't want to use the word negative, but foreseen in a negative viewpoint than it was 2 years ago. So we're working the best that we can to deal with today's marketplace, that, I repeat, is a lot better than people think it is. It is, as I say, prices are softening fractionally. They're still correcting from a vast inflation that took place. But please, 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 listen to what your agent says. Yeah, listen to the feedback that your agent is giving you. Think about this, and don't think, well, I want X amount. That might be great, but what you need and want to move forward, everything is relative. Yeah. So the property you want to buy, if you take 10 grand off of yours, you're going to be able to take 10 grand off of theirs. It's as simple as that. That's the way that it works. That's the way that it's always worked. So positivity will reign supreme as always. That's the way I look upon it. Make sure you listen. Don't worry about mortgages. I appreciate it's easy for me to say. The mortgage market is doing something completely different to the base rate as always. Listen to your agent. Yeah. When they're phoning you up, answer the phone because they'll have something for you. A lot of properties are being sold off market before they go live at the moment. Don't miss out, but just listen and work with your agent. Don't rely on the internet. That's my point. Listen, communicate. Now's the time to communicate and speak to the agents. Don't just rely on Rightmove and Zoopla because you're not going to get anywhere. It's as simple as that. But listen, that's my brief. I'll get off my soapbox for today. I just wanted to get across what I'm going through this week. We are selling. We're selling properties at the right money. Yeah, we're dealing with people. We're getting them to make sure they're shopping around for the right mortgages. So that it's important. If they're not speaking to Neil, speak to an independent broker. Shop all of market. Keep a positive viewpoint on everything. Yeah, that's the way forward. Yeah, and you'll be successful in everything that you do. Okay, but as always, we ask you to like, subscribe, and join us again. And as ever, it's been an absolute pleasure. And please phone me, Paul Bott & Company, 01273 60 55 30 60 55 30. Any questions you have, I'm always happy to help. And I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Thank you.